Yeah, he's the guy with the 40-foot poster on the stadium. He's the face of the program, and certainly a fan favorite, but just a good guy and a great player, and a guy that's certainly left his mark here. And he was a great player when he got here. He just didn't really play well, the first couple of years. I mean, it's not a surprise that he finished the way he finished. If you talk to people and what he was supposed to be out of high school, but like we talked about Tate and others, I mean, sometimes it doesn't happen for you immediately. But it's as a coach, it's hard for me to put into words, but that's one of the neat things to me, and one of the cool things about my job as a coach and all coaches is to watch kids grow up, to watch them grow up at this stage in their life, and from 18 to 22 years old, and when they come in and watch how scared they are, and how they don't say much, and how they don't do much, and how different they are. To watch it through the years, and different guys and different personalities, and watch them grow, and not just become better players, but better people, and watch their personalities change, and so it's neat. And Sykes has been he certainly like I said, left his mark here.
As you bring a lot of these guys back and look ahead, what do y'all need to do differently or better just to get back and host and conference championship contention?
Well, the easy answer is to play better, but just really in all aspects. You just mentioned about the hitting. Certainly we have to be more offensive. But when you look at next year's team, again, we're 365 days away, but 6 months, 7 months away from opening day. This will look like a different team than the team that just walked out. Not because of the names, but now you're looking at returning 7 of the starting 9. Now you're looking around and you got Bortles and Woodman and Robinson and those guys that are now 3-year guys, and guys that have been on the field a lot. And I think when you talk about experience, there's no substitute for it. Doesn't mean that you can't win with a young team, but certainly you feel a lot better when guys have been out there, and these guys have experienced a lot. They went to the College World Series. They have had success. They've had a tough year. They've handled some adversity, and so I'm excited about that. As far as the other side of the ball is what people haven't really talked about, but to me that it's as big a factor as anything in this team is we just didn't pitch well enough to win. You just at the end of the day you have in this game you have to pitch. You got to do it all, but you got to pitch. I think it was probably the underrated thing of the team before that went to the World Series. That team really pitched. We may not have had the first rounder on the mound, but Ellis and Trent went undefeated through the regular season. Friday and Saturday guy. Bullpen that was had 4 or 5 arms that were just so consistent and pitched so well throughout the year. And just so much different than this staff, and so we have to pitch better. If you're going to play in this league and you're going to win this league and you're going to host and you're going to get to Omaha, I think there's no doubt you have to pitch. And so next year when you look at the class coming in, I think there's 13 pitchers, in that class alone, and. So I'm excited. We got a handful of guys returning from this year, but guys, some of them had good years. Some of them are young and still trying to find their way, and we all know that can happen for some of those guys where all of a sudden 1 year makes a world of difference, and then a bunch of new arms. And I think Coach Lafferty and I are both excited to get to the fall to just start working with some new pitchers.
It's easy, Mike, to look at the injuries to your pitchers and see how that affected depth. Was that the biggest part of why you guys...
I don't think it's the only part. I think it's a part, but I also think when you look at this staff, uh, I don't remember ever having a staff like this where there was such a separation from the guys that really you could count on or have success to the guys that didn't. There was such a. I think, and it's probably true now if you look back at the stats, 1/3 of our innings were from guys that had a 6.0 or a higher ERA. Wow, that's incredible. And 1/3. Now, I'm not talking about 1/3 of the pitchers. I'm talking 1/3 of the innings. You can have a 1/3 of the pitchers. You just don't pitch those guys. We're talking about 1/3 of the 1/3 of the innings. And so, however you want to, 6 innings here, 3 innings there, or 1/3 of the games. Every third game, there's guys that aren't performing. There's guys that are giving up runs. And that was tough. I think, to me, that was the biggest factor. The other big factor that's not mentioned, and this is not to take away from Trent or Bramlett, is we didn't have that ace. It's hard to win in our league without the ace. It's hard to win. It's hard to walk out on Friday night when you're facing the other ace, and and doesn't necessarily have to be a guy that's going to be like Pomerantz, a top 5 pick, but it's got to be a guy that's going to win, get up there near double-digit wins. He's going to be up there 8, 9 wins, and even if he doesn't get to 10 wins, he's going to be 7-2, 8-1, that type of thing. And that's not to put it all on Trent. I don't mean it in that way, because I thought Trent really competed, and we squeezed as much as we could out of Trent. And some of that, certainly there's games that were left out there that he pitched well enough to win. We just didn't score enough runs. But I think it was a combination of the second half of the staff, or 1/3 of the staff, where we just didn't get any out of, or that top line guy. And I think a combination of that really hindered us, because I thought we were a good team when Bramlett or Trent pitched, and we had the guys in the bullpen, that we needed to. When we had Short, and Weathersby, and Wagas back, when we were good. After that, we were just so-so.